There is a specific kind of pain that no one really talks about. Not the sharp kind, not the kind that sends you to the floor, but the quiet kind. The kind where you wake up in the morning and for just 1 second before your mind remembers everything, you feel fine. And then it comes back. The relationship, the mistake, the version of your life that never happened, the person you used to be, the dream you had to let go of. And you carry it, not dramatically, not loudly, just quietly, every day, like a stone in your chest that you have carried for so long you almost stopped noticing its weight. This message is for that pain, the quiet pain, the hidden pain, the pain that smiles in public and breaks in silence. And it begins with a question the Buddha asked more than 2,000 years ago. A question so simple that most people pass over it. But if you sit with it honestly, it may become one of the most useful questions you have ever heard. What are you still holding on to that is no longer here? In the next few moments, I want to walk with you through 5 things that Buddhist philosophy has taught for centuries about healing. Not abstract ideas, not spiritual cliches, not words that sound peaceful but leave you exactly where you were, but 5 specific shifts in how you see yourself, your pain, and what it means to move forward. 5 things that have helped people across thousands of years find something that actually feels like peace. Some of these ideas may challenge the way you have been thinking. One of them may feel uncomfortable, and one of them you may have known all along. But perhaps you simply needed someone to remind you. Before we begin, I want to tell you a story. A woman named Kisa Gotami had a young son who died suddenly. She was devastated, completely broken, unable to accept that he was gone. She carried his body from house to house, from village to village, begging anyone she could find for medicine that would bring him back to life. People looked at her with sorrow, but no one could help her. Until someone finally said, "Go to the Buddha. He has the medicine you need." So she ran to him. She fell at his feet, and through tears she said, "Please, give me the medicine to bring back my son." The Buddha looked at her, not with pity, not with distance, but with complete quiet presence. And he said, "I can help you, but first you must bring me one thing. A single mustard seed from a home that has never known death." Her face lit up. A mustard seed. That was nothing. She could do that. So she went to the first house on the street. But the woman there said, "We lost my husband 3 years ago." She went to the next house and they said, "My mother passed last winter." She went to another house and they said, "2 of our children did not survive." House after house, street after street, family after family. Not one home was untouched by loss. Not one. And slowly, without anyone needing to explain it to her, she understood. She returned to the Buddha without the mustard seed, and he said, "Now do you see? Death, loss, grief, and suffering are not punishments. They are not exceptions. They are not signs that something has gone wrong only with your life. They are the nature of all living things. You are not suffering because life has singled you out. You are suffering because you are human." That night, Kisa Gotami buried her son. Not because she had stopped loving him, but because she finally understood the difference between honoring something and refusing to let it go. This story is more than 2,000 years old, but it contains at its heart the 5 things you need to begin healing. The first thing you need to heal, and the one most people are most afraid of, is silence. Not simply the absence of sound, but something much deeper. In Buddhist practice, there is a way of approaching life with openness, without the constant noise of judgment, interpretation, and story. Because here is what happens in a wounded mind. The moment something painful occurs, the mind begins talking. Why did this happen to me? What does this mean about my future? What does this say about who I am? Why was I not enough? What if I never recover? What if this pain never leaves? And this endless inner commentary is not healing. It is the wound reopening itself again and again in the theater of your own thoughts. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is what happens when you stop adding more weight to what is already there. Once a day, even for just 5 minutes, stop trying to solve your pain. Do not analyze it. Do not suppress it. Do not explain it. Do not turn it into a story. Just sit with it. The way you would sit with a friend who is crying, without trying to say the perfect thing, without trying to fix them, simply being present. You may be surprised by how much begins to shift when you stop fighting what you feel and simply allow it to be there. Silence gives your pain room to breathe. And when pain is finally allowed to breathe, it no longer needs to scream. The second thing you need is acceptance. And I want to be very careful here, because acceptance is one of the most misunderstood words in healing. Acceptance does not mean you agree with what happened. It does not mean you are okay with it. It does not mean it did not hurt. It does not mean you stop wanting things to be different. In Buddhist philosophy, acceptance is closer to equanimity, the ability to see clearly without being consumed by the thought that this should not be happening. Because the moment you say, "This should not be happening," you are fighting reality, and reality will always win. There was once a monk who was asked, "What do you do when it rains on your meditation?" And he answered, "It gets wet." That is acceptance, not indifference, not weakness, not giving up. Simply the clarity to see what is, instead of losing yourself in what should be. When you stop fighting what has already happened, you free the energy that was being spent on resistance, and that energy becomes available for something else, for movement, for choice, for the quiet courage it takes to begin again. Perhaps healing is not about fixing what broke. Perhaps healing is about learning to move differently with what remains. The third thing you need is presence. You have probably heard this before. Be present, live in the now, return to the moment. And maybe you have heard it so many times that it has almost lost its meaning. So let me say it differently. Most of your suffering is not happening right now. Most of your suffering is happening in memory, replaying what was, or in imagination, rehearsing what might be. Right now, in this exact moment, you are breathing, you are here. The pain is real, yes, but much of it lives in the stories the mind tells about the past and the future, not in this breath, not in this one moment. The Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once taught that the present moment is the only moment available to us, and it is the door to all moments. What that means is simple. Every time you bring yourself back to now, even for a single breath, you interrupt the loop. You take one step out of the story and one step
into your actual life. Your mind will drift back. It will pull you into memory, fear, regret, and worry. That is what the mind does. But every time you return, every single time, you are practicing one of the deepest truths of healing. You are not your thoughts. You are the one watching them. You are not the storm. You are the awareness that can notice the storm. You are not the pain. You are the space in which the pain is being felt. And in that space, peace can begin to grow. The fourth thing you need is compassion. And perhaps this is the hardest one. Not compassion for others, but compassion for yourself. In Buddhism, there is a practice called Metta, or loving kindness. It begins with phrases repeated quietly to yourself. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be free from suffering. May I live with ease. And when many people hear this, they feel resistance, not because the words are complicated, but because something inside them pulls away from the act of wishing themselves well. Somewhere along the way, many people in pain decide that they do not deserve to heal yet. They believe they must understand everything first, fix everything first, become better first, earn their peace first, solve the problem of themselves before they are allowed to rest. But Buddhist wisdom says something very different. You do not heal first and then deserve compassion. Compassion is the beginning of healing, not the reward at the end of it. The same gentleness you would offer to a grieving friend, you are allowed to offer to yourself. In fact, you are the only person in the world to whom you owe it unconditionally. You do not need to become perfect before you can be kind to yourself. You do not need to have all the answers before you can rest. You do not need to earn the right to breathe. You do not earn rest. You allow it. And when you begin to treat yourself with even a small amount of kindness, something inside you stops bracing for attack. Something softens, something opens, and healing becomes possible. The fifth thing you need is letting go. And we save this one for last because it is both the simplest and the most difficult. Let us return for a moment to Kisa Gotami, because what the Buddha taught her was not that her love was wrong. He did not tell her to stop grieving. He did not tell her to forget her son. He simply helped her see the truth. She was not only holding on to her son, she was holding on to the idea that her son should still be here. And that idea, this should not be, was the source of her deepest torment. Not the love, not the grief, but the refusal. Letting go is not the same as forgetting. Letting go is not the same as not caring. Letting go is not the same as saying it did not matter.
Letting go is the act of releasing your grip on how things were supposed to be, so that you can finally turn and face what actually is. It is one of the deepest acts of self-respect available to us. The decision to stop waiting for a different past and to begin gently, imperfectly, one breath at a time, building a different present. 5 things: silence, acceptance, presence, compassion, and letting go. You may be wondering where to start, and the answer is simple. Do not start with all 5. Start with 1. Choose the one that made you feel the most resistance, the one that made something inside you want to argue back, look away, skip ahead, or say, "No, not that one." That is usually the one waiting for you. Here is a simple practice for this week. In the morning, before you check your phone, before you speak to anyone, give yourself 2 minutes of silence. Just 2 minutes.
Sit with whatever is there. Do not fix it. Do not name it. Do not judge it. Just breathe. Then, once during the day, when something frustrates you or hurts you, say to yourself silently, "This is real. This is happening. I do not have to like it, but I do not have to fight it either." Not as a performance, not to convince yourself of anything, but as a small act of permission. Permission to be exactly where you are, without demanding that it be somewhere else. That is where healing starts. Not in a dramatic breakthrough, not in a sudden revelation, but in a single breath taken honestly, right now. Healing is not a destination. It is not something you arrive at one day and then keep forever. Healing is a practice, a daily, imperfect, deeply human practice of returning again and again to silence, acceptance, presence, compassion, and letting go. And if these words have reached something in you, I want you to know this. The fact that you are here, the fact that you searched for something like this, clicked on something like this, and stayed with something like this, is not an accident. It means something in you is already moving toward healing. And that movement, however small, however uncertain, is one of the bravest things a person can do. Because healing does not always look like strength. Sometimes healing looks like sitting quietly when you used to run. Sometimes it looks like admitting that something hurt. Sometimes it looks like choosing not to punish yourself today. Sometimes it looks like letting one old story end, not because it never mattered, but because you are finally ready to live again. So until the next time you feel lost, be gentle with yourself. You are doing better than you think. You are carrying more than people know. And still, you are here. Still breathing, still trying, still moving. One quiet breath at a time. Back toward peace.
Subscribe if you want to keep going. Next week, I'm going to talk about something that almost every healing video gets completely wrong. The idea that letting go means forgetting. I'll show you what Buddhist philosophy actually says about memory, attachment, and why some of the things you're holding on to the tightest might be the very things keeping you from moving forward. Until then, be gentle with yourself. You're doing better than you think.